journey through the Interverse. Hello, Alexis. How are you today?
Hello, I am doing pretty good. I'm feeling good energy flow. That full moon we had, like I felt such a release from that. And yeah, I've been good. How are you?
I'm doing really good. I actually, this is funny. I didn't even tell you about this, Alexis, but on Monday, so 2 days ago, I had pulled my back, like pulled a muscle in my back, like lifting a whole
Oh,
big box of like at least a dozen, like 1 liter water bottles. So I was putting it into the car. And yeah, so I pulled my back, and Monday wasn't like, it was bad by the time I went to bed. But
mhm.
yesterday it was like, it was bad. I had to lay down. I felt kind of sick. It was a weird vibe. I also think that I was like clearing something, like something was really coming up because I ended up taking a bath that last night with some Epsom salt and chamomile essential oil, and like everyone was asleep in the house.
Mhm.
So, and I had music playing. It was really nice. And I haven't had a bath in months.
Yeah.
And so it was like everything that my body needed. And it was just so peaceful, so quiet. And whenever I take baths, I always, at the end of my bath, I'll sit in the bath and basically just have the intention and visualize pretty much any kind of negative energy, anything that's heavy on me. I visualize that, going down the drain. Whatever isn't serving me, it's going right into the drain.
Hmm.
And so I did that last night, and it's been forever since I did that. And then, if you take baths at night, like you have the best sleep. Like you go, like for me,
Yes.
I go right to bed
Yep.
and I just sleep so good. And I slept so good. And I had a shift in my dream space because the past like
Ooh.
week or so, I've been having like anxious dreams or not even remembering my dreams because I've been so busy and, stressed and whatnot. And last night I had a really interesting dream, and it was, just to keep it short, it was basically kind of like a sports dream where I was like watching a football game, and then I ended up catching the ball, like, like how they do in baseball games. And all of a sudden, everyone just cheering. And it was like, okay, you have to play. Cause I like scored for the other team, and I guess for the right team, I guess. And then they were like, oh my gosh, you have to play in the game. And I'm like, I don't even know how to throw. Like, I'm so bad at throwing footballs, like in real life. And so then I was like, okay. And I kept doing everything I was doing was right. And I kept catching the ball, I kept running with it. And it was just very celebratory. And I woke up in a really like the emotion that it produced was like a major shift, and I felt that upon waking. I pulled cards in the morning, like right after I got up, and um one of the cards was the Three of Cups, which I felt that celebratory energy. The other two actually was the Tower, and it was the Eight of Swords. So I felt like that Eight of Swords energy was like a breaking, like it was like a breakthrough of the Eight of Swords,
Hmm.
keeping yourself in bondage and things like that. And so there's more to explore there. But with all that to say, my back still feels like it's sore. I'm not going to be doing too much, but it's a lot better. And I just feel a lot of tension was released. That bath was like so essential. And I'm going to take another one, not tonight, but probably tomorrow. So I'm
What?
going to get pretty like religious, like ritual or routine with my baths
Yeah.
right now, especially this time of year, because I tend to like tense up because of the weather.
Yep.
Um, so yeah,
Wow.
that's how I'm doing.
Can I just say that dream was incredible? And right off the bat, it really felt like your doubts of yourself and your path are dissolving.
Yeah.
Like it was in this really fun, sporty type of like dream, but to me it was like everything that you felt, I don't want to say negatively towards, but doubted yourself with, you find success, and it's like you're you're acknowledging within yourself this ability to move through the doubt and like achieve these really incredible things, and like you proved yourself wrong almost, by
Yeah.
having those doubts. And I love that so much, and the card reading absolutely got the same
Yeah. I've been really
energy.
enjoying. That's been a new thing I've been doing. If I have time and I have like really profound dreams, like usually if I have a profound dream, I make the time as soon as I get up. If I don't write it, I will do like I'll, pull some cards on it. Sometimes I'll write and pull cards. That's actually only
Mhm.
happened once, but usually I'll pull cards on it. And it's really interesting to see, the additional messages that come through from the tarot. So that's been something. How's your dream space been too?
My dream space has been interesting. It's kind of like some days I'm very active, and some nights I'm very active, and some nights I'm like not able to grasp what I'm experiencing. I did have a interesting dream um where I was sitting with my grandfather in his bedroom. Like, it was a long dream prior to this, but I know exactly what that meant. It was basically like my grandmother, a lot of people were visiting her, but they were like not treating her like a human. They were kind of like treating her kind of like a child in the way that they talked to her and then talked about her in front of her. And it was really upsetting me. And her and I understood that it was equally frustrating for all of us. Um, but then I walked to the back to where my grandfather's room is and where he used to live, like, because he passed away. And he was sitting in his room going through like stuff in his room. And I was lucid and basically was like, hey, I don't have your time of birth. And I was really interested in, looking into your chart more to get to know like the blueprint aspect of you, and but I don't know your time of birth. And he kind of started talking to me about how he used to, he dabbled a little bit in astrology, and he was following like this astrologer, Miss Catherine or Catherine, which was really interesting. And then before I could continue on through this dream, I woke up. So
Yeah.
it was really interesting. It definitely highlighted some issues that I'm having in my own life, with my family, and just like, I don't know, things that are popping up. But then also the dream definitely had a visitation from my grandfather,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
he's been showing up more frequently. So
Yeah. I'm
I'm interested in this
Yeah, I'm so excited
series.
to be on the sidelines of this series of dreams and visitations of your grandfather, especially because now like astrology kind of came into the mix. So I'm like, ooh,
Yeah.
let's dig. I know that we're gonna eventually get like his birth time and all of that. Like I just have this feeling that it's gonna be revealed
Yep.
like in some way. It could be through the dream space, it could be in other, through other means. Maybe someone finds like some sort of like old
Yep.
document or picture or something, a birth certificate. Like I just know it's gonna come forth, and this is the stuff I live for. So
I'm
I'm really
absolutely
excited.
excited for this because it's something, he's no longer here. And though I remember a lot of his stories and how he was with me, like from my childhood into adulthood, um, I have a lot of information, but there's also an underlying blueprint of information that I think would be really useful for me to understand him on a different level. Um, and maybe even relate to more because it's uncovering an aspect, of him. But yeah, I'm really excited that you're on this journey with me. And every time I talk about it on here, it's like a documentation of where I'm at and what the dream space is like. So it's really fun.
And just to document this here on our podcast, this grandfather also had a relationship with dreams.
Yes.
And Alexis has shared before, this his passing, what came through a dream, a precognitive dream, um, that Alexis had. And I mean, pretty much it happened in the way that the dream had, presented
Yep.
itself. So there's a powerful connection, and it's so mysterious. Like I feel like there's a mysterious like aspect to your grandfather. And so I'm just, yeah, it feels like a journey. So I'm glad to be, and I feel honored to be a part of it in some way.
Thank you. And the dream, like, I've always had lucid dreams and I've always had dream experiences. I've had precognitive dreams, but I didn't really start um diving deeper into the spiritual aspect of dreaming until I had the dream like 5 days prior to his passing,
That's
of him
wild.
passing. Like, it wasn't until that moment where I was like,
Something's going on
so,
here.
my door has been opened in ways that it hasn't been opened in years. Like I was in touch with that side of myself as a child, but then into, you know, teenhood and going through the death of your childhood into adulthood, I went through, a very strong um dismissal of everything.
Yeah. Wow, you
So
and I had a very similar like initiation into the spiritual, like that spiritual awakening, which we'll talk about, off
yeah.
cameras. We'll spare you guys, but
No,
it just came through. I was like, whoa, because I had to kind of wipe the slate clean too.
yeah, and I
Um,
think a big part of it was we both kind of experienced a pretty traumatic death at a similar age.
hmm Yeah, how old were you when?
I was 18 when my grandmother passed away.
hmm And I was 19. Yeah, 18 or 19. So
Yeah.
yeah, it
So
tracks.
it does. Like
Wow.
once you deal with something life changing, like an important death, especially at a younger age, you really have questions come up and
hmm
things change and dynamics change, and now you have to navigate through this whole other experience that you've never knew before. So
Yeah.
I definitely can see that there.
Yeah. Wow. That's incredible. So we have two people here in the chat. I'm really excited. Thank you for joining us live. Mary's here. Mary, it's so
Hi,
good to have you
Mary.
back.
It is
Mary
so good to
says
have you.
blessed evening, and it's downpouring in Toronto where she is, which I'm so jealous. We
I'm
are
jealous
pretty
too.
much in a drought. We were supposed
We
to
are.
have
Yep.
rain the past 2 days, and it hasn't been anything. It's really dry here. So
We've had
thank you for
one
sharing that.
rainstorm in like the last what, 2 months?
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. I mean, we haven't had a really nice rainfall in weeks. I can't even pinpoint when the last one was, which is very out of the norm for Syracuse, New York.
And if you're people who really really are charged by the rain, like I'm really charged
Mhm,
by the rain, really charged by thunderstorms, really charged by that energy, like I almost feel like there's a part of myself missing right now because of
mhm,
this drought. And I know that probably sounds silly, but like it's just like if you're somebody who really vibes with the ocean and you haven't been to the ocean in a while, there's something missing that's drawing you there. It's the same thing with this. And I'm actually feeling that way with snow and rain right now, where I'm like, I'm not getting
mm,
either. And it's the
yeah.
time where things are supposed to start changing in that direction.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
because I don't have it, there's just something off.
Yeah, I remember last year here in New York, it snowed the day before Halloween, and we were all like trick or treating in our like winter coats. And this year it was like no coats. It was really warm. It
Yeah.
was really bizarre. And I'm pretty sure Colorado had a big snowstorm around, I think it was like the weekend after Halloween. So it was just, which is like pretty normal for them, but I was like
Yeah.
living through my friends. I'm like, oh my gosh, they're like, things are shutting down. It was like a big snowstorm too. It
Yep.
was kind of like a record snowstorm. So I'm like, yeah, things are weird and extreme. So Jen is here. Hello, Jen.
Hey,
Thank you for
Jen.
being here. Good to see you. And I'm happy that you're able to catch this live because you do an amazing job at, sharing your comments, sharing your perspective, your experiences, your dreams in the comment section on the replay, which is
Absolutely.
always an option. We really enjoy that. And so I'm happy to see that you made it live, Jen. Mary says that 2 nights ago was a wedding theme energy, and last night was a part two continuation of one that began beginning on of November. Mary, that's awesome. I have a podcast to share with you, an episode. It's This Jungian Life is one of the podcasts that
Yep.
I share a lot. And last week they just did a an episode on weddings, like wedding themes and dreams. And it was really interesting because they talked a lot about like the union of like the masculine and feminine of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many ways that you can interpret weddings, but yeah, it's just like the energy and the vibe and the archetypal nature of what that wedding and union can represent in your dreams. And I didn't actually finish it. I'm inspired to go back and finish it, but it was really interesting. And they had a bunch of dreams that were submitted that they were just going through. So Mary, I'm definitely going to share that with you.
We should
Um,
definitely do a, like, I don't know, maybe for like Valentine's Day, like a love in dreams
yeah,
episode, and cover weddings and relationships and different things like that. Because I feel like
yeah,
it's such, like, even just you talking about it, like I didn't think about the weddings and dreams, but I've had many weddings and dreams,
yeah.
and
Oh yeah, you
they're
had
all
one
so
recently too.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely forgot about that.
Yeah.
But they're
So
all
yeah, we'll
so
definitely have
different. We
to.
should definitely do that.
We're gonna add that to the notes.
Bookmark.
All right, so we're gonna just share one announcement, and then we'll get into the energy right now, astrologically, and our topic for tonight, which is the science of lucid dreaming. This is going to be a really interesting chat. I'm excited about it. I know Alexis, you're excited about it.
Yeah, we're probably gonna
So
have a part two or something, because it's
yeah,
we don't know how much we're gonna be able to cover.
right. And we've been chatty here in the beginning, which we always are. So thank you
Yes.
so much for just hanging out. And so basically, the only announcement that we have is that our next episode is not going to be live. So we won't be live next week. We're taking a little autumn break.
Yes.
And so we're going to share an archive chat that we had several months ago, and it was on sex and dreams. A lot of people really liked this chat. And so we're going to share it with you guys. We're going to share part one. There are two parts.
Mm-hmm.
Part two, we're going to share around Christmas time.
Yep.
So we definitely hope that you will check that out and enjoy the episode. We'll upload it on Spotify at our usual time on Friday. You'll see it Friday early morning on Spotify, and you'll see it Friday on our YouTube channel. So just wanted to share that with you guys. So no live chat next week, and we'll be back the following week after next. So, okay, the cosmic climate, and I'll be really brief and straight to the point. I know a lot of you have been hearing about Pluto moving into Aquarius. And Pluto, this is the last time we're going to experience Pluto and Capricorn in this current lifetime, because there might be multiple lifetimes. So we might catch Pluto again in Capricorn in another lifetime, but in this current lifetime timeline, this is the last time we experience Pluto and Capricorn. And Pluto is now officially in Aquarius. It has visited Aquarius one time. Yes, one time, and then it went back into Capricorn. Now it's back until 2043. So we're going to get like a nice long, basically 20-year transit of Pluto and Aquarius. And so, thinking about Pluto, especially Pluto as a dream planet, it's going to spend this 20 years really uncovering and digging up things within our unconscious, subconscious mind, repressed emotions, your fears, your taboos, even those precognitive abilities. All of that is coming up to the surface.
And the
And
collective unconscious too.
and the collective
Yep.
unconscious, that's a big one.
Big
So I
one.
feel there might be some sort of transition to like the collective dreams that we might experience. Like I'm getting more of the
Yep.
apocalyptic type dreams, like with the Aquarius and like the technology, maybe like the AI and all of that stuff. That'd be really interesting. So this is just a really fun time to start paying attention to your dream. Well, I mean, we always say pay attention to your dreams. It's always fun. But take into consideration the Aquarius part of your birth chart. And especially if you have any planets there, any the sun, moon, ascendant, all of that stuff. If you have anything in Aquarius, this is going to be really amplified for you, but paying attention to the nature of your dreams and how they tend to change. I will say, Pluto moved into Aquarius yesterday yesterday being November 19th in the afternoon. And my sun is in Aquarius at 0 degrees. So as soon as Pluto moves into Aquarius, it's like very cozy with my sun, and it's going to make an exact alignment here very soon. And like when you think about the sun sign, you think of being the center of attention, you think about the ego, that creative energy. And like just think about, now I'm thinking about the dream that I had this morning about me like being the star of this football game. Like that seems very Leo, right? And everyone's
Yes.
like, yeah. And so that's just very curious to me,
Yep.
especially what I've been experiencing over the past year since Pluto has, moved into Aquarius, then moved back into Capricorn, now
Mhm.
it's back. And so that's one of the things I would encourage you to do, is just paying attention to your dream space in reference to the Aquarius part of your chart, or even just the qualities of Aquarius. And like, we all have some Aquarius influence within us and in our lives. So this is all relevant and important for all of us. Is there anything you want to
Absolutely.
add to that, Alexis?
I just have such a strong feeling that the next 20 something years of Pluto being in Aquarius, there is going to be a huge shift collectively around dreaming. I
Mm,
feel like it's going to be
mm,
brought more to the surface, and people are going to understand and lean more into understanding their unconscious, and in intertwining that with their day to day, really learning more about themselves and their psyche to evolve and grow. Um, and I feel like even collectively, we're all going to get to a point where like this is more in the day-to-day conversation with people you care about, people you talk to.
yeah.
I feel like this is just going to become so much more than it has been for the last 100 years,
Mm,
and I feel like this actually kind of aligns with how we're feeling about what we're going to talk about today.
yes, very
It's
much
going
so.
to be taken more seriously.
Good point.
That's what I feel
Yeah.
deeply in my heart, is that now that Pluto is in Aquarius, the direction towards dreaming and paying attention to your dream realm is just going to amplify.
Yeah, I like that. I agree with that. That resonates. Yeah, so here we are,
Here
and
we
we're
are.
finally getting into the topic, just shy of 30 minutes into the episode, but it's cool. We
Yeah.
This is going to be good. And there might be a part two, because there's a lot to share, and there's so much to learn and to see what's happening with science and pretty much everything. But science and dreams is definitely something that piques my interest, just as I like to, bridge the gap between science and spirituality. And I know, Alexis, that's something that interests you, and you're fascinated about, and I'm sure
Absolutely.
inspired to do as well. And so I will, both of us, I'm sure, will be dabbling just here and there of like what's going on in science with dreams, with, the astral travel, mysticism, all of the things, because, personally, I feel that science is always playing catch up. But it's like,
Yes.
once you have it in the science, like there's no denying it. And we're going to talk about this, right?
No, and I
Yeah.
also feel like science is an explanation for the magic that we're experiencing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I feel like it's, both sides of bridging that gap is so important because of that. Like,
Absolutely.
and speaking of Aquarius, again, your sun is in Aquarius, my moon is in Aquarius. Of course, we're so interested in this science aspect.
Yes. Look at that duality. That's so perfect. Sun and moon. Oh my gosh, this is going to be so good, guys. Like, in general, now that we
Yes.
have this Aquarius energy.
Yes.
So, what we're talking about here is the inspiration for this chat tonight is from an episode from a podcast called Science Versus. So, on
Mhm.
this podcast, they basically compare science, or the science of different topics such as like pandemics, 5G, vaping, fasting diets. And in this particular episode that inspired this conversation, they compared they talked about the science of lucid dreaming. And so it just randomly popped up on my Spotify recommendations, my homepage, and of course, lucid dream. I'm like, anything about lucid dreaming and science, like, okay, you got me.
Of course.
And Alexis and I flow organically with the podcast. And
Yep.
so we have a plan, we have topics, and sometimes if we're in the moment, it's just like, I was like, Alexis, listen to this. I feel
Yes.
inspired to talk about this. And so
Absolutely.
if you are curious about and you want to listen to this episode of Science versus Lucid Dreaming, I put the link in the caption of this video, so you can either like stop now listening and go listen to it, or backtrack and listen to it after our discussion, whatever you desire. So there are a few topics we're going to touch on. with this chat. But I just want to say that basically, as I mentioned, this podcast talks about the science, the research, like just the cutting edge science in reference to these topics. And so, as I mentioned, this is science versus lucid dreaming. And it was basically, there were two important scientific, I don't know if it was like developments, but basically some aspect of how we can induce lucid dreaming. So I would say that this episode focused on the act of lucid dreaming, right? So how can we induce a lucid dream, right? So it wasn't really denying that lucid dreams were capable of lucid dreaming, lucid dreaming, and people are doing that. But they were just like, okay, how can we have a lucid dream intentionally, on purpose, and consistently? And what is the science? How can the science help us with that? And so the host of the podcast, they all, I'm not really sure. This is my first time listening to it. So it seemed like there was at least like 3 people that were hosting. And then they had other people who were just like guests talking about their experiences with lucid dreaming. But basically, they all did their own experiments and they wanted to see if they could, lucid dream. One of the hosts was already an avid lucid dreamer. So they just wanted to master their lucid dreaming skills with these techniques. And then they share, what happened. So Alexis, do you want to add anything to that before we get into the 2 main points that we want to discuss?
So yeah, I thought the episode was really good. However, I feel this way about a lot of podcast episodes that cover lucid dreaming, is that it's very limited. I don't feel like they took it as far as they could have with it. I also felt like there was a degree of not taking it seriously, and that I have no, that it is what it is. If it's not your thing, I get that. But in regards to dreaming, it has been pushed under the rug and kind of made to seem like it's not that big of a deal, like the message that come through in dreams are stupid or pointless or meaningless. And I don't blame these people for not showing as much interest, but it just shows like it's kind of like they're not taking it seriously. It's not that important. And that's just how society sees dreaming. And that's how a lot of the people we interact with see dreaming. And it's a problem, No, I don't think you should be forced into doing anything, but I don't think people really take advantage of this tool that we have been given by whatever you believe, whatever, fits your mold. We don't take advantage of it and use it to the best of our ability and understand ourselves and work through problems with it and expand upon it like we could, and it could be so helpful and so useful. And that was my only thing, is that I feel like there was too much of a sense of things not being serious or being very pop, like trendy.
Like the commitment wasn't there, or I think it's showcasing kind of the nature of our society where we want things fast. So speaking of Aquarius energy, speaking of like the quote unquote new age and technology, we're used to things, we want things like now, right? We're not really holding space to have like, a long committed practice and experience with something. And so that, I think that's kind of what you get to with podcasts and just in general, with people that host these kind of things where they're picking a topic and they don't give time to go deep with it. And that came up, recently when we talked about astral projection, and I was talking about a lady that did an experimentation for just because she watched a show, which is, there's no problem with that, but it's more so like these things take time and don't write it off before, because it hasn't worked like right away.
Yeah.
And keep trying. And so that's really, I'm glad that you brought up that point, because there are two major, or not major, but two scientific points. And I guess you could say one's kind of like a research study, and the other one is more of like a product that I really wanted to touch on. And I know we'll come back to this because there's a list of things that I wanted to talk
Yep.
about. So the first one that I want to chat, and my cat is like loafing on my keyboard. So I'm like, okay.
As
So I'm
expected.
gonna pull this up so I get it right. But sorry, one sec. All right, there's a whole bed over here, Wednesday, that you can lay on. And you're like laying on my computer. All right, so let me just, for my own, just
You
to
went
get
a
this
little
very
blurry.
clear. Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Let's see. No, you're fine. It's my new webcam here. Working with organic energies. Okay, I'm just gonna.
Yes. And
Okay.
also, aren't we like going to go through another Mercury retrograde
Oh,
next
yeah, in
week? Because
less than a
I
week.
have been having technical issues. I cannot tell you. I tried uploading my wedding photos to Facebook like 20 times. 20 times.
Yeah.
Like, I tried so many times over the last couple of days, and I've had one success
And
of
that
like
could also
six
be the
pictures.
Pluto transition too. I think it's kind of like all
Oh,
of it.
sure.
So, well, yeah. So things are happening.
Yep.
So, all right. Thank you all for your patience.
Yes.
So this one is the research study.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a drug that has been presented to be helpful in inducing lucid dreams. It's called galantamine. Am I saying that right?
I think it's
Galantamine.
galantamine. Galantamine.
Galantamine, yes, galantamine. So it's a drug that is taken before sleep. Wait, I'm sorry. Let me read this clearly. Galantamine, galantamine.
Galantamine.
Galantamine is a drug that has been extensively studied in relation to lucid dreaming, with research indicating that taking it before sleep can significantly increase the frequency of lucid dreams by enhancing dream awareness and recall due to its effects on acetylcholine levels in the brain during REM sleep. So basically,
Acetylcholine.
acetylcholine, yes. So basically, it makes the dream recall, and it enhances dream recall and memory, because it is a drug that's actually treated for Alzheimer's.
Yep.
Yes.
So, in case you guys didn't know, Alzheimer's is the lack of production of that chemical in your brain, acetylcholine or ACH. And this medicine, the galantamine, what it does is it actually slows. It allows the chemical to be made up quicker so that it has time to build up, because it's kind of like if you have a cup of water and you pour out all the water, you can't drink from it anymore. And that's what happens with this chemical. It's like it slows down the process, so it's not creating as much as quickly, and then it doesn't give it time to build up, so keep it like going. And this medicine does not actually like, it doesn't cure Alzheimer's, and it doesn't stop it from progressing, which is, it is what it is. But it is meant to help with the thinking ability. So this is only available by prescription, which I just learned.
Yeah.
So it
Oh,
would be,
yeah.
yeah, so it would be a very difficult thing for somebody who
Yeah.
isn't experiencing issues with memory loss to get a hold of. But it does increase lucid dreaming as well as sleep paralysis. The only thing,
Interesting.
yeah, the reason that, and I'm just kind of going off of what I feel is the reason that it's probably only by prescription, is because if your brain is producing that chemical naturally, the repercussions of taking an extra dosage of it might be detrimental to your brain over time. Like if you're already producing it at a normal rate and you take this medicine and it starts, your brain stops producing that much because you're already taking it, it might cause you to actually develop Alzheimer's. And that's just my theory based on what I've researched. I'm not an expert in this. But there are medications that like you generally shouldn't take if your body produces the right amount for it, because you can have issues.
Yeah, you're going to create your own imbalance.
Yeah,
Independency.
exactly.
Yeah, independency on it. Yeah. And so with this drug, I was able to pull up a case study on this through ResearchGate. And so this study, which was conducted, let's see, by neuroscientists at University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley, and National University. So basically, the experiment was a home study that examined the impact of this pre-sleep protocol for enhancing self-awareness, lucidity, and responsiveness in dreams. It included ingesting the galantamine, which is widely reported to increase the frequency of lucid dreaming. 35 participants completed an 8-night study, which included pre and post baseline nights in 6 conditions, waking for 40 minutes before returning to bed. So they did the wake back to bed. Some of them, so there was a part of the group that did the wake back to bed that was placebo, of course, and then wake back to bed that had the galantamine, and then wake back to bed that had the galantamine, and they meditated and also did some other form of dream, and like inducing lucid dream techniques. And basically the outcome measures the lucidity, the reflectiveness, the interactive behavior, role change, constructive action, and fear and threat, as measured by the participant's self-rating. So the participant would tell them like what they experience. And the results support the use of this protocol and further studies of lucid dream induction and nightmare trauma resolution. So this drug wasn't necessarily, as you mentioned, it wasn't created for lucid dreaming.
Yeah.
But there, I guess, from reports that have come forth from people who've taken the drug, I'm assuming, or just the studies that they already have on the dream state and lucid dreaming, they were able to make that connection that this drug can induce and enhance the lucid dream experience. And so the results for this, which I'm just getting a brief breakdown of this, is that the about 17% had lucid dream experiences after the wake back to bed. And let's see. Yeah, basically it's not giving me the placebo as far as like as far as the 17%, what group did they fit in? It's just as a whole. But what they really noted here, and this is something that I wanted to share based off, you saying like people taking it seriously. What they noted here is that pretty much everyone that showed up for this study, basically they have interest in lucid dreaming. Like they're part of like some sort of like lucid dreaming community or dream community, dream institute or research group. And so there was a strong desire and passion towards this. They were also, some of them, I know they mentioned that they were also doing their own induction techniques in addition to this. And so I think that, that also presents, that how that can affect, the experience and the data.
Yep.
And even so, saying all of that, people who are really inclined to do it, 17% is like, that's not nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like a large number. And so I think that it's hard to, in 8 nights, that's really, if you want to see if it's like can work like that and fast, then I get it. But like 8, and you need to do it for like at least a year. at
Yeah.
least like 3 moon cycles. My biggest thing, even with any kind of dream work, if you're going deep into it and you want to have the reflective experience, you want to do the writing, the dream recall, and do that, your consistent practice for 3 moon cycles,
Mm-hmm.
and then reflect on that and see what comes forth. And that's like the bare minimum,
Yeah.
personally, I think.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and I feel like that's one of the issues that, we had with the podcast in regards to not going deeper, is that results in a week, some people get them, but a lot of people, especially if you're not a lucid dreamer, it takes a while. It takes a while. And like I noticed too, one of the hosts who was an active lucid dreamer, when she started doing these techniques, she didn't really have results,
right. And she
which is
said it was kind of
interesting.
exhausting. Yeah.
Yes, and I actually agree with that. I actually agree with that. I have done different experiments like that, like they did, and for me, because I already have been lucid dreaming for a really long time, it's a hit or miss. But admittedly, so too, I've only done it for maybe like a week.
Yeah.
So like maybe for that week I'm thrown off because it's not what I normally do, and I already have these experiences.
Right.
And then it's
And
just
it,
kind of like getting back into what works for you.
and the thing is too, with like anything with medication, I think that, like, especially if you don't really need it, like if you're taking this medication that is designed to help people with Alzheimer's and, borderline dementia, like, for you to take a drug because you want to lucid dream, it just seems like very risky
Yeah, and
and
like
not
in
worth it. And it almost feels like a greediness, and like there's a
yeah,
lack of patience, and there's side effects
yes.
that come along with that. And yeah,
Yes.
so it's tricky. I feel that everyone can lucid dream. It will just take some work to have that experience. Some, it comes easier than others. And for some people, it takes time.
And
And
if you really want things that can help you, that you would like have a ritual oral thing with, there are so many herbs
so many
that,
mugwort,
yeah,
like that,
mugwort, blue
mugwort is,
lotus,
is, is my jam. Yes.
oh,
Whenever I drink
yes.
mugwort tea, it's like I'm lucid dreaming.
Yes.
I don't fully sleep.
And
And
these are
that, I mean,
herbs
that
that
might
have
not be the same
positive
for
effects on
everybody.
you. Like you're
Yeah.
not taking a drug that, like, don't get me wrong, this medication is vitally important for people who are experiencing Alzheimer's, who need it to be able to function. But when it comes to like casually using this because you want a quick result, it doesn't make
Yeah.
sense. It doesn't make sense, especially if not everybody's even getting it.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Maybe down the line.
I would definitely not, it's hard, especially if it's like it's less than 50%, it's less than 30%. So
Yes.
as far as it even being, prescribed for people who are having recurring nightmares and really need to get into their dreams and, alleviate themselves of that situation, like I don't even feel that that should be uh that should be a possibility, that should be an offering, because it's just you're doing a lot of, like, you're doing more detriment to your brain than we probably realize.
I agree.
And so
And
I would say don't try that. Just personal opinion. um so let's go ahead to the second point I want to talk
yes.
about, is that they also mentioned that there are these masks, they're lucid dreaming masks that you can buy literally on Amazon, and they will help you to lucid dream. They'll help you to induce a lucid dream. So what I've read as far as these masks, and I'm sure they're all slightly different, but what I came across is that, like, the masks basically, of course, you wear them at night, so they're they look like your night sleeping mask.
Mm-hmm.
However, they have like sensors in them. And I guess some of them are timed, so they kind of time it when you're gonna like go into the REM sleep
Mm-hmm.
once you fall asleep. I guess from the time you put them on, and I'm sure there's a button to tap like, hey, I'm going to
Yep.
bed. So after a certain time period, they gauge that you're in REM sleep. And also, I think as you're going to sleep, they like will have these red lights that like three little red dots, red lights that shine every so often while you're falling asleep. And then at some point it's your brain, the intention is that your brain is going to make the connection that I'm seeing red lights, so then I'm dreaming. If you're seeing the red light in your dream, that'll trigger it as like a dream sign. And also I've come across some that have sensors in them where, you know, they'll vibrate when you get to the REM sleep to like wake you up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think some also have sound, like
Yep.
make some sort of sounds. So the whole thing is basically to kind of wake you up when you're in the REM sleep space, and also to bring forth that dream recognition of like the light. And I looked at a few videos and articles, like I looked on Reddit just to see, because people are like, does
Me
this actually,
too.
did you?
Very
So
honest.
Reddit
I
came
love
up.
a good, honest review from a Redditor.
Reddit came up. I watched some YouTube videos that I shared with Alexis that were hilarious. And everyone's like,
Mm-hmm.
they didn't work.
Yep.
And a lot of the people, well, not a lot of the people, but there were a few people. I would say if I looked at like 6 different things, like 4 out of the 6 were people that lucid dream already. And they're just like, don't waste your money, don't waste your time, you know, just like put in the work to
Mm-hmm.
lucid dream, take your time with it. And you're gonna, yeah, it's not comfortable. And I think at one point, one person, it produced a nightmare because they saw like the red lights, and it was
Yeah, it induced
like he
fear.
looked up, oh yeah, the color red. What does the color red mean? And it's like anxiety, stress, you know, fear. It's like, why red light? Why not like blue or purple or, you know, something like, yeah.
Well,
So
I feel as though when you think of like the red light, you think of like a fire like in a building, like a fire
yeah,
alarm, and them
yeah.
flashing red
Especially
to
if it's
alert you, and
flashing. Yeah.
it's almost the same thing. Like that is the one of the masks that produce visual cues. A lot of that red light is purposeful to act as an alert, just like something that, you know, if there was a fire in the house, you would get that red light, the everything kind of blown, like so I think that I think that's the intention, because
Mm-hmm.
blue lights can be very relaxing, and it might not have the
Yeah.
same
Oh
effect
yeah,
as
yeah, yeah, yeah.
alerting
So it
you,
might
you
not,
know.
you just sleep through it.
Yeah, same with like
Yeah.
purple lights, you know, it might be
Yeah.
something that like relaxes you rather than alerts you, and that's really what
Yeah.
those visual cues are for, is the alerting. And I
Mm-hmm.
do want to like, I do find it interesting that there are different masks. The technology differs, so some, it's like you mentioned, like it's a button that you press before you go to sleep, and like it's timed kind of like how a normal person's circadian rhythm would be through the night, or the dream, or not the sleep cycle would be through the night. So the other type of masks, they actually kind of work like like an Apple Watch, or like
Mm-hmm.
a Fitbit, where like it tracks your levels of everything, and it can alert you based on your brain waves and stuff like that.
Yeah.
um but yeah, it's interesting the different ways that these masks kind of alert you into that
Yeah.
lucidity.
The dream space. Yeah.
I would be
So
interested in
we
trying it.
have a new person in the chat. Hello, Courtney Gonzalez.
Hello.
Welcome. So Courtney says, in Toltec dreaming practices, red dreams are healing dreams, and dreams we can seed intentions in. So that is actually a really good point. And this is what I love about dreams. So it's, you know, or our personal connection to dream practices, because if you, I'm sure if you, with that knowingness, with that awareness, and you had the mask on, maybe you would have a different response. Or even with that knowingness,
Mm-hmm.
you can already set that intention if you're wearing the mask and you're like, okay, I'm going to see these red lights, and I know that I can also set the intention to like enter into a dream that's going to produce like a healing experience that
Mhm.
I can have through dreams, or I can like, plant some intention. So I think that that's a really good point there. I like
That
that.
is such a good point. And that immediately made me think these people, a lot of these people I noticed, like, again, they don't really take dreaming seriously. It's more of like a trendy thing they want to try, which, like, okay, I grant you, you have the interest a little bit, but it's not taken seriously. And what I feel like, especially that one video of that guy who did it, and the last one, he had a nightmare. It makes me
Yeah.
think, if you're not used to dreaming, which is a reflection of yourself and your psyche, and you're not used to dreaming or remembering your dreams, you're not used to facing yourself and your psyche and your mental health and your
Mhm.
experiences, that may have triggered a nightmare because of unresolved issues that he hasn't touched upon yet.
So it could have been like possibly working,
Yes.
but it like what came to mind for me is that when you are in fear, when it comes to even astral travel, astral projection, like it cancels out that experience. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, you're in fear, you're coming right back to your body.
Yep.
And so it's like he could have been at the precipice of becoming lucid, and he's entering into the nightmare. And then maybe that from there, at some point, he would have been lucid. But that fear possibly could have kept him, in that like non-lucid state.
Yeah.
So that, and it's in the video cut off because it was a short video. It's like a short, one of the YouTube shorts. So it cut off like, right at the minute mark. And it was like right as he, brought that up. And so, I mean, I never looked deeper into his videos, but now I'm kind of curious because he was like, oh, should I do this for 10 days or should I do it basically
Yeah. I'm
longer?
curious if you
And
did
so
it
I'm
for the
curious if
longer
he
amount.
did it
Yeah.
longer and what happened, or if there's a longer video of him
We're
going
going to
deep
update you
into.
guys.
Yeah, we're gonna have to go back and look and see if he actually like shared more on the nightmare, because you know how what we say about nightmares, we're like they're powerful and they're healing,
Yes.
and so it's interesting that it brought it forth.
That also brings up another aspect of this episode from this pod, like of the episode from this podcast. They talk about how there are limited studies, and one of the studies they discuss is lucid dream. They were using dreaming as, or so they were taking a bunch of, like, a group of veterans, and they were teaching them to
Mm.
lucid dream, and they said that some had success in their lucid dreams, but others had nightmares. And it
Mm-hmm.
it it showed that the lucid dreaming was actually not helpful. But
Mm-hmm.
that makes me think again, that how long was this study engaged for? I mean, when you're taking a group of veterans who have severe PTSD from their experiences in war grounds, that's a whole other level of trauma. So how long were you working with these people? Did you just introduce them to lucid dreaming for a short
Mm-hmm.
period of time and then dip
Yeah.
and not
Well, I'm
help
sure.
guide
I
them
mean,
through
I'm
like
sure
these
it was like maybe
experiences?
like a case by case experience. And that's something that's like, I'm kind of curious of looking a little bit more into, because my father was in Vietnam War. He was drafted. So he was like 19,
Mm-hmm.
and it was really traumatic for him. Like
Yeah.
he hasn't shared stories, but my mom recently has shared some. And he did tell me though, like in the past year, he was telling me how um, he's been having like dreams, like basically nightmares. And I don't know if they like trouble him. He just kind of brought it up in conversation. And I wasn't even talking about dreams. It just kind of naturally came up in some way. And now I'm thinking about it and I'm like, I want to like ask him more about it. And I want to see, like I would love to help him um if he wanted that. But I don't, I just it's a tricky thing because like Vietnam was like really
Yes.
heavy. And I
Yep.
know, like, just from what my mom told me he experienced, especially at like 19, that
Mm-hmm.
young age, I, yeah, I don't want to bring it up if it's like triggering, but I
Yeah.
am really curious because, with that, like, I feel that there definitely needs to be a lot of research, especially the people that are facilitating these studies and these therapies, in the sense of like, yes, they're producing nightmares. And of course, it's going to be always based on the person's comfort, the dreamer's comfort of what they're experiencing. Because when a lot of that's coming up, especially in dreams, especially as nightmares, it's so real that it can like really put people in a very dark mental space. So I
Yeah,
definitely respect that and hold space. But when it really comes down to it as well, like, that nightmare that's coming forth, I feel that that's progress. That's a part of the
it
process. And
is.
they might, like, for some people, they might not go straight to lucid. They might go straight to that nightmare, in which that's a message in itself. And then from there, like, you already had the pain point very clear. And so from that, you can again continue to focus on inducing the lucid dream, and you already have somewhere to, go to for healing, so to speak, or you already have that pain point that is already at the surface to heal through the lucid dream experience. And so that's a really good point, that yeah, it's like, don't stop. Like, if you can, if you
Mhm.
have the capacity and the support, if you're trying to lucid dream and you have a nightmare, like, you're getting closer. Like,
Yeah,
you're gonna heal. You're getting to a healing space. It's just
absolutely.
you're going through the dark night of the soul via the dream space. And we all kind of have to do that too. So
Absolutely. You really have to go. I mean, even thinking about like the way that therapy works, I suggest therapy to people because it has been extraordinarily helpful in my life. But I tell people the first couple years, you feel like you're going through hell because
mm-hmm,
you are facing all of the things that your brain has taught you to push away to protect
mm,
yourself.
yeah.
And that is a lot of stuff, and it's a lot of baggage, and it's very hard. And dream work is a very similar thing where, like, your brain is problem solving. You're being faced, like, you are being shown messages that you need to take into your waking life, lessons that you need to learn, experiences you have to move through.
Mm-hmm,
And it's really, really important that you acknowledge for yourself that it's not going to be fun right away.
mm-hmm,
You're going to have really intense experiences that are going to affect you, maybe not great the first couple times you go through it. And that's
mm-hmm.
why I try to say, like, we try to say this often, but like, it's so important that you talk to people about these dreams that you're having, especially if they're intense and you don't know how to navigate through them, because it can be a very scary and like lonely experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And again, this is why it's so important to also have a clear intention of why you're doing what you're doing. Of course, with whatever you're doing, but when it comes to the dream work, having a clear intention.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I would say, being doing something to cleanse your space at night, your dream when you're going to bed, protection, anything like that. Because even if you have a clear intention, like, I can speak from my own experience, I had a very clear intention. I wanted to go to the dream space to uncover just like whatever's been blocking me, that I just cannot, that's untouchable. Because I was at that point, I was like, I've been doing all the spiritual work, I've been doing everything, I swear. And it's like, I knew that I had to go into the dream space, and I had a clear intention, but I didn't really, and I did cleanse my space, but I didn't have the support, and I wasn't fully grounded. That was the thing. I wasn't grounded. And I started having like the nightmares, the things that were really uncomfortable come up right away. And it really did some damage mentally. And I had to stop for a little bit. And so it's really important to have a clear intention, to have a support system. It could just even be someone, they don't even have to be into dreams, just like, hey, can I talk to you about this? Like, if I need support at these times, having that support, and it could be a therapist, or it could be a best friend, family
Or you
member,
can just
whatever.
reach out to us,
Reach out
just
to us.
message the
Yes,
podcast
absolutely.
and just,
I,
we
Yes.
really don't mind. This is what we do, it's what we
Yeah.
love. And like facing your brain, facing yourself, facing your
Yeah.
psyche is hard.
Yes. Yeah. And reach out to us, the Interverse podcast at gmail.com. Let us know if you want it private, right?
Yep.
Because our goal is private. Like if you don't say private or share, we're still going to keep it private
Private.
unless
Yep.
you actually say share. Because we've had, people send us dreams and, I'm like, do they want us to share this? Or we can respond to you privately, but, so just please indicate if you want us to share, if you like to share it on the podcast, if it's like a dream that you're just like, oh yeah, just share this, that's totally fine. But if you do want some private, counseling or support, just
Mm-hmm.
someone listening,
Yep.
and holding space, we're here to do that. So absolutely. Um, and I just want to touch on, because I know we're kind of at the top of the hour now.
Yeah.
I want to touch on a comment from Mary, because Mary is like, she's got Scorpio. We're Scorpio risings. And I thought about this too
Yep.
I'm funny about technology around like my head. And when I
Mm-hmm.
sleep, I have my earbuds and all of that. So it's like, I can't completely get away from it. But Mary's funny. She said, my Scorpio brain is saying, oh, hell no. What if they're programming me such a suspicious mind? Like she's referring to the lucid dreaming mask and the technology. I just don't like having things near my third eye. And
I agree.
I actually got someone sent me as a gift it was like it's a mask, like an eye mask, a sleeping mask, but they have speakers in it. It's like a Bluetooth speaker and it's really cool. And I'll use it. I use it more. Like I haven't used it in a long time, but if I'm doing podcasts or if I'm doing yoga or whatever, and I'll have it as a headband. So like
Yep.
the part that you push the button and stuff is up here, not
Mm-hmm.
here.
Yep.
And like the speakers are in your ear and it's just big enough that it's not this way. But I had a whole thing about it because they asked me if I wanted it. They wanted to send it to me as a gift. And I said yes. And then when I thought about it, I was like, oh shoot, like I don't know. And then I told Mary about it. She was like, oh hell no.
No,
And I
I
was like, oh
completely understand.
no.
I agree with
Yeah.
that. And that brings me to like what Elon Musk is working on with the brain chip or whatever, like the oh,
Mm-hmm.
what the heck is it called? Basically like a computer inserted into your head.
No thanks. I'm
Cyberlink?
even funny about the glasses. Yeah.
Cyberlink, that might be it. But like the idea of having something non-organic in my brain, I
Welcome
just
to
don't
the
I
age of
just don't like.
Aquarius.
I'm going to be one of those people that doesn't do it. I mean, it's so funny that you talk about with the Scorpion. I didn't even, when the newest iPod came out when I was like 12, I was like, I don't want that new one. I want this older model
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
aesthetics better. Like whatever. Like I was
They're doing too
so,
much.
they're doing too much. But the whole idea of the Cyberlink, I think that's what it's called. Um, the thing that they're trying to put, oh, that might not be it. That's not the right word. But the technological chip that
I'm
they're
sure
trying to
we'll all hear
build,
about it like really soon. Yeah.
I just can't go along with that for myself. I don't think it's a good idea. All of the red flags are coming up. It's
Yeah.
flashing in my head. This is not a good idea. Like,
Your intuition is like, no.
you are giving up your personal control.
Yeah,
Who
I'm
knows
like, I
what they
don't
will
know
do
what
with
y'all are
that?
programming that with. I don't
Yes,
need
that's
that. Yeah,
exactly. As
like,
soon as Mary
no,
said that, I
I'm
was like,
good. I'll
I
wait
don't
and
think we.
see. Let me wait and see. Let me see what happens but I'm like that too. It's just like, it just seems so disconnected to nature. Like, I feel that it's already bad enough that we have our phones and we're like, do. Like, I'm already like very like attracted to that. And it's frustrating and it's overwhelming. And so then to have that there, like just on demand, and it just feels very disconnected to nature. And that's my biggest thing.
Yep.
And that's an element of Aquarius, that innovation, and also I would say an element of Aquarius is going against that grain of that, right? To be, because that's like, oh yeah, it's innovative, it's like cutting edge, but then it's like everyone's leaning into it and it's like this is popular within this particular culture, and it's like again, here comes me coming back to, I don't really fit in this world. Like I'm
Yes.
ready to like be outside, like listening to the wind, like hearing the rain, like connecting with animals, like watching the planets and or the stars and seeing Venus and stuff. Like
Yeah.
I'm good. So I'm gonna be
Yeah.
in my Aquarius Scorpion bubble and
Yep. Exactly.
living
And
life.
it's a brain computer interface, and it's fully implantable. It's called Neuralink,
I'm
and
good.
it's roughly, it says it's probably going to be about estimated $10,000.
No.
Um, and what it advertises is see like it's a aid for people who have like quadriplegia. They're not able to communicate. They're like,
Mm.
you know how
Yeah, I was thinking, yeah.
people who can't communicate verbally, they'll get the link to the computer so they can simply look at the
Yeah.
computer, and it which I that is
Yeah,
incredible
that might I
technology
mean
for
if
people
that's
who
yeah.
really need it. What I'm more so like against is just having a computer in my brain
Yeah,
for
yeah,
just
yeah. Oh
fun.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's like we're on the precipice of cyborgs, right? Like half
Yes.
human, half machine, like half human, half computer. I was
Yep.
just watching the new Alien movie, I think last week, and they had like it was the side. I think they were because androids are when they're like fully computers, and I think cyborgs are
Cyborgs are human robot kind of
human
combined.
robot and
So
the
like,
androids are like the full. So I think they were androids and alien, but we were having this whole discussion and we're just like,
well, even
ah,
just think
yeah.
of like external like limbs that are now robotic limbs for people who
Right. Yeah.
have,
Like we already have that.
either
Yeah.
born with a
Yeah.
deformity, or it was an accident, or whatever medical, like these are fully functioning robotic arms that they use, and
Yeah.
that technically makes them a cyborg, which I think is really cool.
No,
But
that's
again,
really
it's
cool and
like
that's really
there
helpful.
are things that are used and are very helpful for people, and then there are things that are used in ways that may be more damaging for people. And so I'm
Yeah.
not saying that
Yeah.
this isn't a good
It's gotta
idea
be
for
in balance. It's gotta be balanced.
exactly. That's really what I
So
want to emphasize now, is that like I'm not saying this isn't a good idea for certain circumstances, but I personally, if it became like a as common as having a cell phone, I would probably say no.
yeah, absolutely. So no technology around the brain space. I don't need that within my dream space. I'm going
Nope.
to keep it real and raw. I'm going to be patient
Yep.
and I'm going to just yeah, that's the thing. Like the dream space, this is slow moving experiences. This is devotion. This is like going deep, peeling back the layers. And so we really want to just honor the sacred aspect of the dream space
Yep.
and not rushing it, not like having to have it now,
Mm-hmm.
to really put the intention. And so I would love to see, and I'm sure I know they're out there, like longer dream studies
Oh, sure.
of, different practices with these dreaming techniques. I mean, the wake back to bed is one
Yeah.
that definitely, I never do it on purpose, but whenever it happens, like I'm definitely more likely to dream the wake during that wake back to bed. Like if I wait in the middle of the night, go to the bathroom, or like lucid dream or have anything like that. Like if I wake up, go to the bathroom, come back to bed, and I'm laying there for a bit, I've definitely had lucid dreaming
Yep.
experiences. Usually my
Absolutely.
lucid dreams are like earlier in the morning or in
Yep.
the morning or when I nap, or I very rarely nap, but I know that's a thing.
Oh, napping.
Nap
Yeah.
when you
It's
nap.
super
Yeah.
intense, lucid dreams napping.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. So I think we're good.
Yes, there's going
We
to
hit
be
on some
many more
things.
of
There's
these
going to be
episodes.
more because I wanted to
Science
get,
is
yeah,
constantly experimenting, figuring
yeah,
out new data, new answers, conclusions. We're always going to have more to share with science and dreaming. So
yeah,
don't be
yeah,
sad that this is ending.
yeah. And if you listen to the episode, please let us know. Listen to the episode of Science versus Lucid Dreaming, which is linked in the caption of this video, this chat. If you listen to it, definitely let us know what you think. Comment on
Yes.
this video, or you can, email us if you want it to be private. Again, that's the Interverse podcast at gmail.com. You can email us there. Please like the video. Please subscribe to our channel if you want to join us in these live discussions and be notified right away when we're going live.
Yep.
Also, you can, follow us on Spotify if you want to subscribe to our podcast. That will really help us out. Any last messages you want to share, Alexis?
Just check out that episode. It was a good episode. I have some issues, but it's not necessarily a reflection of the people in the podcast, more so just the way that society views dreaming. So no disrespect there. I highly recommend the episode. And yeah, if you watch it and you want to talk about it, let us know. We're very interested in hearing what you guys have to say. Other than that, I just hope your dream space is wonderful for the next week until we come back.
Yes. Thank you so much for being here. We'll see you again soon. Take care.
Sweet dreams.
Cool.